So yeah, I'll introduce myself. My name is Alazar. I reside in California. Right now, I'm living in Los Angeles, and I was vegan for 6 months, but I was with a vegan for 3 years, and I started off a little bit with vegetarianism. Um, Back in my early 20s, I got into fitness. I wanted to have a good healthy weight, and I never really was a meat eater. So I kind of was bouncing back and forth with pescatarianism and vegetarianism. So I like sushi a lot, and I never really ate that much meat. I mean, when I was a kid, I was living off of sugar, just cereal, just a lot of junk food. But I noticed some good benefits when I started to I started eating like a vegetarian. Plus, my I was getting more health conscious too. I was trying to be a competitive fighter for a while. I have a few amateur fights, and I was trying to keep my weight down. And I heard a lot of athletes they try vegetarianism, and I would always try to eat light. And I had some friends that were into the whole New Age movement type of Eastern philosophy, and that those teachings promote vegetarianism. So I was kind of surrounded by the thought of the philosophy of the East, and plus I didn't want to be associated as like a douchebag, because all I did was I was trying to make a pro debut and trying to get as many fights as I could. Hard when I was working full time and going to school part time, and just trying to find a way to maintain my weight and just balancing my sleep and rest. So it was pretty easy for me because I already had I wasn't a big meat eater. Um, then I met my girlfriend. She was vegetarian. She was kind of like a pescatarian too. She ate fish, and so we would always go out on Friday nights to like a sushi bar, like all you can eat. And but every now and again I did eat like red meat, but it was like probably twice a week. So that's a little bit of my nutritional background. But I looked more into the well. Here's what happened. My girlfriend was taking this psychology class, and one of their assignments was to write some kind of report, or they had to do it. They had an assignment where they had to think about a some kind of quote, and what the quote was, or the statement was, it was, imagine being treated nicely by higher beings, and one day they decide to eat you because you taste good. How would that make you feel? And I guess it kind of resonated with her, and so she decided to look into veganism, because she got some flyers from school. There was a couple of vegetarians and vegans in her psychology class that were, I'm sorry, it wasn't psychology, it was philosophy. It was philosophy class. And so she started to look more into how the animals were treated in the farms. She showed me a couple of videos, and yeah, I kind of felt bad at what was going on, and I kind of wanted to ignore the truth, I guess, of how the animals are treated. And so I still I never questioned it, if we were really like truly meant to kill and eat. It just never, it never crossed my mind. But little by little, I noticed I was like questioning that I was questioning myself, and whether my diet morally right. And but because I'm surrounded by my friends with their Eastern philosophy, and now my girlfriend at the time, and she started to eat more like tempeh. I really didn't notice the difference, because I thought it was the same thing. I was kind of naive, and I tried it out with her, No, I tried it out first because I was really desperate to keep my weight. I know I heard some good benefits on like because I got at the time I got a new job. I was the commute was like 2 hours just to get there. So I was like spending a lot of time on the road. It was hard for me to. I'm sitting down all day, so I'm gaining like I don't want to gain a lot of weight. So I looked into it, kind of like I had like a shallow understanding of veganism. I didn't look at like the reality of it and how it's really gonna like kill me in the end, in the long run. But I started to eliminate certain foods out of my diet, like milk, eggs, and cheese, because that was pretty much that was like the foundation of my diet. I was just always eating eggs and a little bit of chicken here and there and fish. So I removed that completely, little by little. The first 2 months were kind of back and forth. Started eating, I think it's Nature's Blend type of like butter, a lot of potatoes, and I started school. I went back to school around that time, and so what I was feeling, I thought it was just my schedule, but I was really sleepy all the time, and my mind was really clouded, and everything became like a routine to me, and I just thought I was stressed out from school, and I had a big assignment. I'll never forget. I had this big business presentation. It was like I had to make like a 5-year plan or whatever, and I had all my slides ready, but the day of the test, I got sick, and this was probably like the third or fourth month of trying veganism out, and mind you, people were gonna tell me I was doing it wrong. That's what my ex was telling me, but man, I was eating my starches, I was getting my protein, I wasn't eating too much tofu. I don't know if you heard of tempeh. Like I was eating a lot of that stuff, and I had no problem because like the food, it tasted good. It wasn't bad. I didn't mind it, and I wasn't really. I didn't notice myself craving like steak and chicken and just animal products. I didn't notice myself craving these things because, like I said, I kind of became everything became routine to me, and it was just like robotic at that point. But I got sick on the day of my presentation, and so because I was taking night classes, and so my schedule would start from 4 a.m. in the morning, and like I wouldn't get home until like 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night, and then have to do everything like all over again Monday through Thursday, and I had like Friday and like Saturday off, but I had to do a bunch of homework. But I got sick that one morning, and I drank like a bunch of coffee because I felt so lethargic. I had like flu-like symptoms, and I was getting ready, and I drank a bunch of coffee. I kind of felt a little better. I didn't even like pack lunch or anything. I just said screw it, whatever. I'll just eat out fast food if I have to. I have to do this presentation, so I'll save the animals later. I got to get this done, So I made it to work, but my symptoms got worse, and everything was achy. Like just every joint in my body just felt like it was about to snap, and I couldn't stand up straight. I was kind of losing consciousness, and my boss told me, go home. If you're not feeling good, like if you don't get better, just go home, because I was kind of trying to stick it out. I really wanted to do that presentation in class and just kind of like wing it through the day at work. But I went home. I drank some more coffee because I was just losing my mind, and started getting like a sore throat. So the symptoms progressed. I made it home alive, and like I've had a fever before, and like I can deal with the pain, I can deal with the sweats, but I started getting really depressed, and I'm not, I didn't it didn't ever cross my mind to think that if like maybe my diet could have played a role in this. Maybe uh, I don't know. Like I didn't question like my diet could have been like held responsible for me getting severely sick like this. So I was out for about 6 days, and the next day I felt dead. I couldn't tell the difference between being awake and like sleeping. I just was losing my conscience. I was out of my mind, stuck in bed, just didn't want to eat anything, and just started getting more depressed. And like just, I felt like my whole world was just coming to an end, you know. And I screwed up my presentation. I'm missing work, and yeah, I started getting like suicidal thoughts. I'm like, well, I'm no good for nothing, and I can't even maintain. You know, I want to be morally inept. You know, from my diet, and I got over it. I recovered, but I still didn't eat any animal products. I was still sticking to the potatoes, tempeh, a little bit of tofu here and there. Drinking a ton of water. Drinking a bunch of water, a bunch of soy milk, coconut water, and just a bunch of bananas. There was a point where a buddy of mine in my class, he told me about some banana diet. He told me that if I eat like 30 bananas a day, that like I'll have all this energy and I won't get sick or whatever. And you know, I didn't try it, but what I'm trying to say is I was getting support for this kind of diet by my friends, my classmates, and not so much at work. I mean, I would avoid foods that were brought in from the company, and some people would make comments here and there, and started getting in my head because I felt better than them. I started thinking like, see, I was assuming that since I'm abstaining from these foods and you're not, that like I actually want to make a difference in the world, and people like you are the problem. And my ex started to, at the time, she started to become a vegan, like full-on vegan. She was trying to, she's trying to be an activist, you know, and like going to vegan events, and I was cool with that. I supported her. I had no problem. We always cooked together, and this was about like the 5th month. I would say that I started to like look into other diets, and I was going to the gym in the mornings a little bit more often. And I remember one day, I thought it was my schedule, like I said, because I was so busy. I thought that like I'm just not getting sleep. I'm stressed out, so I won't be able to lift as much. And I was working on, you know, I don't know if you know what a military press is, like a bar.
Yeah.
So I was doing stuff like that, and I really wanted to get good at the military press, and I just noticed that I wasn't progressing with strength, and I just naturally wanted to do more cardio. I felt that my endurance was kind of it was like tugging at me, like, hey, let's do. My body was craving endurance training. That's what I felt like, because I would just not be motivated to lift weight. I just wanted to run. So I kind of tapered off.
Maybe it's because your body wanted to hunt naturally, hunt an animal. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Never thought of that. Yeah. I wanted to do just like set it. I don't know, like light intensity stuff. I was just before when I was boxing and training for competitive combative sports. I would do more metabolic type of training and a little bit of weight training, like when I was like I would switch back and forth, but I wouldn't really focus on just pure endurance. But no, yeah, you have a good point. But yeah, so my training started to become more endurance like, and like I don't know, like I was trying to listen to my body, and but in the wrong way. So I'll never forget, man. I I didn't I started to look into other diets, and then I found out about. I came across an article, something about how plant protein it's missing some. Maybe you can help me with this, but I guess there's nutrients that like you get from animal products or animal proteins that can help your body absorb and transport the actual amino acids. Does that sound familiar?
Not really.
Something about nitrogen.
Okay.
Yeah, I read something somewhere that plants are missing nitrogen, something like that, and so it's not a complete source of protein. So I kind of like I kind of push it to the side. I'm like, no, it's probably just some pseudoscience. It's probably a biased article, and I started feeling more weaker, man, during the 6th month, and my training was just, I was just a little endurance runner. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. What happened was I went from 175 pounds with like, let's say 7 to 8% body fat around there. I was pretty lean before I started, and my stomach kind of, my body proportion, my arms started getting real lean, and my stomach, dude, it was like protruding out. I'm a pretty tall guy, and so I'm like, I'm long limbed. It just didn't look right. I noticed I'd have to hold in, like during like the 3rd month, I kind of like noticed I had to suck in my stomach a bit, and I felt bloated a lot, and I again, like when I felt bloated, I'm like, okay, I'm doing something wrong, and I started watching videos around that time on YouTube. I came across Bite Size Vegan, Emily.
When was this, by the way?
2013.
Yeah, okay.
It was in the middle of 2013, yeah. And yeah, I watched some videos with her. I think she did an interview with some vegan athletes, and I'm like, oh, cool. So it's possible, you know, you can be a vegan and still like maintain muscle mass and look like these guys, but they're clearly on steroids. And in the interview, they were talking about increasing your protein intake by putting beans in smoothies. So I tried that out, and I'm like, all right, cool, you know. But then the next day, I just felt super bloated, and my stomach was like going into, it was like fighting itself. But I was denying it because during that time, again, I thought it was my schedule causing all these problems, and I was pretty lethargic too. So I went to the gym. I'm sorry. The last month, man. I remember, like, the food is pretty pricey because I was going to Sprouts and Mother's Market, and all that stuff, man. I mean, it adds up like during the week, and my appetite. I'm sorry.
Organic?
A little bit of organic, yeah, organic, and you know, you heard of like. Well, I was experimenting with like different types of rice and pastas. I was getting into buckwheat pasta.
Yeah.
And that's $5 just for like 2 servings. And then the tempeh, like I could eat that raw. Like none of the food tasted bad to me. And yeah, I noticed, man, I was paying like $200 a week, close to $200 a week, and my appetite was growing, and I'm like, wow, like I can't afford to, I'm gonna have to starve, you know. And I remember one weekend, I just gave up. I just said, hey, I'm gonna take a break from this. I'm gonna try to go vegan, like without doing the preparation, because I was pretty good with making my food the night before and all that stuff, and meal prepping on the weekends. And I just like I said screw it, and I still feel bad for the animals. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, oh no, I'm giving into world suffering. But I said screw it, man. Like I need I can barely like afford gas right now, and I'm spending all this money on food. And I went to Carl's Jr. I went to Carl's Jr. One day, and I just like bought a bunch of chicken sandwiches, and I took a bite, and I felt a little guilty, but it tasted real good. I know it was garbage, but the next day, I went to the gym early in the morning, and I was gonna go for the military press.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm feeling pretty strong. Like I feel like lifting weights now, and I was usually doing like 125 or 135, and I would go like at a decent speed, but I'll never forget this. I went to go push, and my arms just flew up, like the weight felt like feather, and I never felt that before. And I racked the bar up, and I was like looking around at the gym, like, did that just happen right now? Like, whoa, what? I was trying to remember, like, wait, was it something? Did I do something before? Like, wait, I started eating like chicken. I know it's from Carl's Jr., but this can't be I don't know. I can't. It's just in my head, man, or whatever. I just adapted to the weight, but all the stuff I was doing, it just I felt like a superhuman. Like I was doing a lot of I was doing squats and deadlifts like with ease, and because before I was struggling, and I started to taper down on intensity. I couldn't go intense on a vegan diet, so I went back to my vegetarian pesco diet. But my girlfriend, she was going hardcore vegan, and she was cool with me, like not like kind of like she was cool with me throwing in the towel, and this the diet it never really we never conflicted with each other. But I'm sorry, man. Am I talking too much?
No, man.
Okay, so I totally like just threw in the towel, and she's like, hey, I understand it's pretty hard, and she just got a new job at the time in the hospital as a registered nurse, so she's around a lot of sick people, and started getting sick a lot, and we thought it was just because, well, I wasn't blaming the diet or anything, but I started to do my research because she kind of got sick how I got sick when I was doing the vegan diet, and I kind of thought it was I thought her immune system could possibly be affected by her diet. So I didn't want to step on I didn't want to make a big deal about it, but I started growing a concern when she started getting these little colds here and there, and she's around a bunch of sick people, like I said, and she was also a full-time student, so we were both really busy, but I wasn't getting sick anymore, and so I started, like I said, I wouldn't eat red meat too much, but right now, since I watched your videos, I had my first steak tartare homemade last week. I've been trying to go more raw lately, but I kind of wish I would have watched your videos back in 2014, man, or sooner, to so I wouldn't have to get gone through all this. But yes, she started getting sick, and we started feeling bloated all the time, and kind of the same thing I was going through, and then it started to click in my head, like maybe we need to maybe she needs to go back to pesco, maybe she needs to go back to vegetarian, or I forgot all the terms used, but basically start introducing some animal products back into the diet. And but I was there. I supported what she was like trying to stand for, and a year went by, and things got a little better. She wasn't getting as sick, but we we started going to more vegan events. I don't know if you heard of Veg Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to one in Pasadena, and it's crazy because you'd think that all these people who share the same beliefs and ideas would all be like nice to each other and super friendly and outgoing, but like when I went there with her, everybody kept to themselves, and there were it was all these hipster college kids just walking around with all this attitude, and like a lot of, I felt like it was like a real negative vibe, man. And the food there, just for a freaking donut, was like $7 just for one donut. It was a vegan donut, and I'm over here like telling my chick like I can't afford another donut. Like this is can we just walk around? But yeah, we went to more events, and I was looking at the people, and I noticed a lot of like anti-religious paraphernalia, or like people wearing like upside down crosses and pentagrams on their t-shirts. I think I saw one person wearing a Hail Satan t-shirt, and when I was trying to be when I was like looking into veganism, I came across a vegan black metal chef, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. The food looks good, and he's pretty good at the guitar, but like I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't think about it being a religion, and I saw my ex getting more and more indoctrinated into like the ethical morality side of this diet. And so it started off with just the food. Then it started with like not wearing leather, or not buying anything that's associated with an animal. And then it grew into little things like not using plastic bags. When you go and buy produce, those plastic bags, like she started getting her own little like eco-friendly bags, which was cool. She started wearing like all black, kind of going goth on me, kind of getting into the like wearing all this. I'll never forget. There was a shirt that she had. It had a cow with an upside down cross on its forehead, and it said anti-carnist. And I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. I was like, I brought it up. I'm like, why are you guys? I'm like, this is basically a religion, and you guys are attacking Christianity like directly. I mean, whoever made that shirt, like, I'm pretty sure they're trying to mock like Christianity or other religions, even though this is like kind of a religion, because you have to have faith to believe that by not eating a steak that you're going to save the world or whatever, or reduce suffering. And so I started to ask questions, because we couldn't go out to eat. Every birthday of mine, I have a little tradition that I go to. I go to Red Lobster. I just get a big fat lobster, and we went there for my birthday one time, and like she was like, "Oh, I can't eat anything here." I'm like, "Well, they got salad." She's like, "That's it." So we couldn't go anywhere and eat it. So I was like, "Whatever, that's cool. Sorry to take you here. We'll go wherever you want to go." And like over here, like in Hollywood, I'd say Hollywood and Orange County, we have a lot of independent vegan restaurants. And so, I started taking her there, and it was weird. It was a weird experience. I remember going to Pasadena one time. I walked into a restaurant, and I looked around, and there was a few couples there, right? And the men they had these, like, this is just on a shallow just observation of mine, that like these men, they looked like the starving children in third world countries with the big heads and the big bellies.
Yeah.
These were grown men, all bald. They looked like that. They had the like protruding bellies, skinny arms. But the women they were with, they had kind of broad shoulders, and they looked more healthier than the men. And I started to notice that in every restaurant. It was like either these men are they have a big belly, or they're covering up and they're really skinny. And I was like, okay, man, maybe it's this them, maybe they're doing it wrong. So, but I kind of noticed like a type of person, the type of people that are on this diet, just from observing in person. And so, like, she became involved with other like. Oh, have you heard of a vigil? Pig vigils?
Of what?
It's called a pig vigil, where they stand in front of a farm.
No.
Where, okay, well, uh, over here in LA, we got a Farmer John's, and I think like every Thursday or Sunday night, there's a shipment of pigs, and so there's groups out here that will meet up and protest and try to interfere with
Sure.
the delivery.
I get what you mean, yeah.
Okay, so she started getting involved into that, and I'm like, hey, I'll support you on the restaurants and the little festivals. It's no problem, but I'm not gonna go stand out there and protest. Like, I'm not really that much invested into it to begin with. I do care for animal welfare. I don't agree with factory farms and how they treat their animals, but like, it's not enough to make me. I don't have enough faith in myself to think that if I stand in front of a Farmer John's that I'm gonna make a difference. But you know, she started doing that, and that's where I was kind of like getting. I got like I said. I knew that I had to start speaking up, because this was not only a diet, it was becoming like an ideology, and I was getting worried because it was just a diet to begin with, and the food wasn't bad, but I was worried about her getting sick a lot, and now like the people that are involved in this. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect the vegan movement, but I just wish that they would admit that it's unhealthy and it's a religion. I mean, I just wish that they could admit that. But me and my ex started clashing heads because I started bringing up these points, and then I was the bad guy. I was the problem, and I started doing my own research. And hey, you got a second, man? I gotta let my dog out. Thanks. It started off as a diet, and then it started to grow into some kind of philosophy. And from that, they had research to back it up. I mean, every time me and my ex would talk about, we kind of get into arguments, and I didn't have. I don't know. They just they have the evidence, or they have the doctors to back up this diet. I mean, I fell for it, but I didn't do. I guess I wasn't doing enough research. I wasn't, because I have a bunch of books. But yeah, I kind of felt outnumbered. Was what I'm trying to say. And I'm not too much of an intellect, and I'm not much of a debater. And I didn't feel like this was something to just fuss over about, but I was seeing the disastrous effects, and I was supportive. throughout the entire relationship, but we wanted to get married and have kids, and I was starting to have a concern about the pregnancy, and I asked her if she's willing to put aside the diet for like the pregnancy, because I know that women have to deal with extreme cravings, and she told me no, and I was like, okay, you say that now. And we kind of went back and forth, and she was telling me that there's plenty of evidence that shows that you can have healthy children. You can have a vegan pregnancy. And nothing to worry about. It's actually better than the normal than regular diets. Yeah, no, this is where it got ugly. This is where it got pretty bad, because I had to put my foot down, because we're dealing with a life, a new life, creation. Everything else, man, like, don't get me wrong, like, no one's perfect. We all have our flaws, and like, it's not my job to correct people, but I want to kind of go by the book when it comes to bringing in a new life into this world, and we started to bicker really bad about that, and it got to the point where I said to myself, well, I'm not gonna put my future children at risk, because because I was talking to some friends, and they told me that when their wives were pregnant, that they were just eating like crazy, man. They were just craving like the weirdest things, like ice cream and pickles, and they would like just take no for an answer and eat whatever they wanted. And if my ex were to try to do that, try to avoid those, giving into those cravings during a pregnancy, I couldn't imagine the effects of that, and I didn't want to risk having you get what I'm saying.
Yep.
I get kind of worked up because it was something I really was looking forward to, and I can't believe something as stupid as a diet was got in our way, and it pretty much tore us apart. And it's pretty embarrassing to talk about this to other people, because they just see it as, oh, it's just a diet. But then we started talking about how we were going to raise our kids, and I said, well, we're going to raise our kids on a balanced diet. I mean, we don't have to, if we're going to have them, let them decide in the future if they want to go vegan. And she did not like that. So we're already having issues with the planning of our future children. And it hurt me, man. We were together so long, and it's like we were slowly growing apart because of a diet, and that was like the last straw. Was about the children, was about the pregnancy. Because I don't, if we can have an agreement on this simple thing, then it's going to be a lot worse when we have more mouths to feed. And I'm not sure. I think you had a video about children dying from vegan. Okay. So and I never even sorry, man. I never even knew about the deaths that were reported, or that weren't reported. But I knew that it was wrong. It was unnatural. Yeah, man. We kind of hung in there for a while. I thought we would give her some time to think about it. And no, man, it was engraved in her heart. It was just it was religious. I couldn't break through her religious practices, and it came before relationship, and I was there. I was always supporting. I was always supportive. But oh man, my battery's dying.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, that's what was going on. But yeah, I felt weak. I felt the typical lack of strength feeling, and but like I said, I thought it was I thought it was my schedule at the time. I experienced some of the nutritional deficiencies during while being vegan, more than when I was vegetarian. But then again, like I did crave chicken and red meats when I was vegetarian, but I abstained for them. I only had like once a week, but when I went vegan, I went completely. I went 6 months without any animal products, and I noticed just a small amount of the disastrous effects, and I couldn't imagine in the long run how it would how I would be or how I would feel and look. And I tried to support. I was open-minded, but it really is a belief system. You really do have to have faith into sticking to the protocols for the vegan movement, and it does take. It pretty much is going against fellowshipping. I mean, these people are not really welcoming. That's just what I experienced. They assume if you're in a vegan restaurant that you are a vegan, and if they find out you're not, then like I did have some comments. I did receive some comments during the times when I was going to these restaurants with my ex-girlfriend, and because it came to a point where I didn't want to eat anything because it's just carbs and it's just the salads. I mean, there's no nutritional value in them, and I don't need to spend $10 on a salad. And so I would get comments from the waitresses that, oh hey, you're not vegan, you don't like vegan food, but in like a condescending way, condescending attitude, and this stuff lines up with Jainism, and in the end, I tried my best, but I can't afford to put my future children in jeopardy. I mean, I'm not I'm not a doctor, but and I'm not that smart of an individual, but when it comes to bringing a child into this world, I want to stick with results that I've seen, because I know that it's going to be extremely hard for a woman to endure the demands of the newborn or the child that they're carrying, and I couldn't risk having someone who has these ideologies carrying my newborn in with them. So
did you take any
yeah,
supplements in those 6 months? Any supplements?
oh yeah,
Yeah?
oh yeah, man. I took this cleanse product called. Okay, I got these this cleansing kit. It came with 10 pills,
Oh,
and yeah, one was for your respiratory system, the other was for your adrenal support.
yeah.
You got intestinals, you got the antioxidant, immune system support. So each pill had a designated area of support,
Yeah.
and I got it off this store called a D-Health store. Dr. Tahuti Mahatara. I found his channel on YouTube, and he was talking about this cleanse. He's a vegan, and so I was taking these pills. I had to take all 10 every day, twice a day,
Oh,
in sections of like 5. It was in the morning and then afternoon, and I was just going to the bathroom all day. The creatine,
yeah.
it was contributing to me being bloated already, and so I stopped that, and I was drinking a bunch of coffee, and because I was, like I said, I thought it was my schedule making me feel lethargic and tired all the time, and I was trying to support myself in the gym with, I was taking a multivitamin, of course, but I mean, I was literally peeing the vitamins out. I could see it in my urine. Like my piss was coming out like neon green, you know.
Yeah.
But then when I wasn't taking the vitamins, like my piss is like normal color. So yeah, I was taking some other stuff too. Psyllium seed husk. Yeah, for fiber. Cause I don't know. I thought I needed a bunch of fiber. Can you enlighten me real quick on the difference between where that came from? Where like did it? Why do we need fiber? Like, can you tell me why that is being spread to?
Why they are pushing the fiber thing?
Yeah.
To make us constipated, so there's gas, indigestion, and so on. It just messes up the gut. And you can feel it. Everybody can.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I fell for it, man. And yeah, and I thought you had to go to the bathroom like 4 or 5 times a day. And yeah, when I got off those pills and I stopped that diet, like I was still kind of vegetarian, but now more just chicken, steak, and I'm probably like 20 or 30% raw now, thanks to you. But you know, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to hear my story. It's almost like it was an insidious type of attack on our relationship, and yeah, it's a good thing that I kind of took an inquiry of the belief in a deeper sense, and kind of threw in the whole pregnancy and what if scenarios, and I really it was an ugly outcome. But like I said, no one's perfect. If anything, I have compassion for people who fall into stuff like this, you know, because there's a lot of scoffers that preach and use argumentative tactics to like suppress truth, and I think we need more people like yourself to spread truth and to enlighten and to inspire others to kind of speak out, because I'm not gonna lie, these I mean, I saw your debate with Vegan Games, and they're clearly educated, and they were acting like this was it was like a courtroom. You guys were on jury, like it was. They were. I can tell they studied tactics on how to argue, or how to debate, and they were just trying to turn all of your guys' statements into. They're trying to minimize your statements into a box to make you guys sound like that you guys know what you're talking about. But there's a lot of, I think there's a lot of like scoffers in this vegan movement, and they're educated on how to suppress and to dominate discussions, and to appeal to the simple-minded who are the spectators. And I think that we need some more apologists to counteract that balance, because this is a revolution. That's a revolution. There's always going to be like a counter-revolution. And so I just think that we need more guys like you out there spreading the truth and hearing other people's stories. But yeah, no, I appreciate your time, man.
One more question. Do you still have contact with your ex-girlfriend?
Yeah.
Yeah, and is she still vegan?
Still.
Oh, wow. Okay. How is she doing?
Oh, you know what? She has a lot of. She's part of some groups now, some animal activist groups, and they do more protest type of like extreme stuff, and they get together and coordinate where they're gonna attack. They're targeting local markets in the area, and so they'll stand in front of a meat market and protest with their signs, and like it's real ugly, because these people are just trying to make a living, you know, and you got this group protesting their business. I think that's crazy. I don't know if where you're from, if veganism is popular or big.
Yeah, it's. I live in Berlin, Germany. It's the capital of veganism. That's what they say.
Whoa,
Yeah.
man. Okay. You, cool, man. Are you planning on crashing any more vegan events?
I would like to, but in Germany it's hard. There's just no free speech. But in another country, I would.
Oh, okay. Are you're still in the States?
You're right. Yeah, yeah, in Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
There's plenty of events, man. I know them all.
I looked up some
Yeah.
events, couldn't find anything. But I'm sure there will be in summer because it's too cold for vegans right now. They come out later.
Oh man, that's another thing, man. We'd be sleeping together, and dude, I had to buy like 5 blankets.
Um,
5 blankets, man. Yeah, and I'm over here burning up in the middle of the night, and yeah, I didn't even that ever crossed my mind. I thought that women like because of the estrogen dominance, they can't like that they don't have thermogenesis like men do to the amount because I just sweat all the time and but yeah, I didn't think it was at the time. I didn't know it was contributing. The diet was contributing to that, but yeah. And I think that's how I got sick, man, because I was getting cold and I felt like my defenses were down, and yeah, I got that fever, and I never got a fever where I just felt super depressed, like where I was emotionally sick.
mhm.
But yeah, um, I like I said, I don't have an ill will towards these people. I just feel that you got some good spokesmen for that movement, and who they really did their research on how to debate, how to persuade, uh, and I think we need we need the opposite. We need the same thing, but for to counteract that revolution because it affected someone I really cared about, I really loved, and I I didn't do. I felt like I didn't do a good job in doing my research and like conveying that to change someone else's mind. But there's nothing wrong with having compassion for animals, but when you're willing to kill yourself over it in the long run, I think that's a major issue. Um, but yeah, it started off as a diet, but it grew into something insidious and ugly. And I watched like a transformation before my eyes, but I caught it too late. But then again, I was a vegetarian for a while, but like I said, I never took into account the ethical side of it. I wasn't trying to reduce suffering from my diet. I was just trying to, when it comes to ethics, I just try to be a good person. I just try to be open-minded and to listen, help the people in my community, like with good means. Um, it's not like if I could give money out to everyone, I would, but I need to take care of myself. But I never considered a diet being responsible for my ethics, for my morals. Yeah. But no, man, thanks again for having me. I wasn't sure if you had some more questions.
No, that's it. That sums it up. Yeah.
Okay, man. Well, I'm looking forward to the vegan hate, and but thanks for taking your time, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.